everybody, I am Laurie and this is Maxine. Together we are Secret Styling Club. We're an interior design duo with a real focus on wellness and mindfulness. And today we wanted to talk to you about how to style your home to make it happy and healthy.
Yes, right, hold with me here. I've got a very sleepy dog on my lap. I got some notes, so I'm going to be scrolling through those, but it's a part of a conversation that we're going to have between us. Both Laurie and I are passionate about creating wellness at home. We both done it quite differently, so we're going to be sharing examples. But life is quite busy and home has become a real retreat these days. It's a space we escape to some of the time. Some of the time home can be quite stressful, and it's trying to juggle those two things. Like, how do you create like a Zen den at home? Like, how do you create calm amongst the chaos and the kids' toys and the clutter and the home office? So that's what we're here with, practical solutions as well as styling ideas. So we've broken it down into 6 key areas that you can start with, and you can tackle in any order. And I'm going to start with the first one, which is choose your happy. Laurie, would you like to start?
Yes, so I think a big thing about interiors is that people quite often think that they should have certain things in their rooms, and what will work for one person to relax them, make them feel calm or feel cozy or homely or however you want it to feel, is going to be different to the next person. So this first tip, choose your happy, is really about thinking about what it is that makes you happy and how you can make that work for you in your space. So, for example, myself, I really like quite calm interiors, nothing too busy. I work with a lot of colour and pattern every day with styling work. So I'm quite calm and neutral with my colours, and I like to bring in lots of textures with other things. And that's what makes me happy. And I also like to bring in bits of nature. So I've got lots of things like, for example, I've got here like shells, pebbles from places that I've been. I've got a bit of driftwood on the side, lots of natural materials, plants. It's those kind of things that make me happy and spark a bit of joy, and that's what I like to fill my interior with. What about you, Maxine?
I'm a big traveller. I love to go travelling all around the world, like a couple of months of the year. So one way to bring that spirit of adventure back is through things that I collect when I'm away. So you might be able to see me a few pieces of art behind me. That's from a market in Marrakesh. I've got pieces from San Francisco. So I always pack a postcard or something from my travels that I can then have on display. So that tends to make me very happy. And then one thing that I was doing a bit of research when we were starting with this this workshop, according to the study of Oxford Economics on, they have a score of living well, like how well we live. So people who eat together more than once a week are generally happier than people who eat alone. Would you say that's true, Laurie? You live with your partner. Would you say that? Do you eat together regularly?
Yeah, we do. We do eat together most nights, actually. And I wouldn't say that we use our dining room that much, actually, because it always feels quite formal, and we're much more about trays on laps. But I think eating together and talking about what you're eating and discussing the ingredients, I mean, we're quite big foodies. So for us, that's all part of the enjoyment of it. And I think that if I was just creating meals for myself each night, yeah, probably wouldn't get the same enjoyment from it. What about you?
So I live on my own. So when I read this stat, I was like, right, I'm going to book in loads of meals with all my friends and try and host one dinner party per week. So I've been doing that over Zoom. I've been having Zoom dinner parties where everyone's had a different meal, and then we've been discussing what we're eating. And I generally feel more relaxed after that. Definitely if I sit at my dining table rather than eat in front of the telly. So I'd say things like being social in my space makes me happy, as well as like my adventures, in the same way that calm things make you happy. So
would you say you've styled your space to make it more sociable for when you entertain?
Oh yeah, like when I moved in, I knocked down walls to make my space much more open plan. Before it was made of like separate smaller rooms, and it's much more easy flow. So you can eat a big meal and sort of tumble into the living room area with not too much effort. So for me, it's like easy flow. But I know your home is more separated off, but that makes it nice and calm because you can close the door on one thing and keep it, yeah.
Yeah, I quite like being able to close the door on my kitchen of an evening and just come into the living room, which is really calm, very neutral, soft tones everywhere. Yeah, and that makes me feel a lot more de-stressed at the end of the day. I think if I could see clutter or cooking utensils in other rooms, I would definitely feel more stressed. It works for me this way, but as I said, not everybody is going to be the same. So thinking about what makes you happy, whether it's entertaining, whether it's closing yourself off, creating a really heavily patterned room that's bursting with colour. It really,
if you're really into colour and pattern that makes you happy, definitely go for it. But I think it's about taking that time out to consider what actually makes you happy in your home. So if you feel generally a bit anxious at home, if it's not quite right, perhaps maybe focus on the positives. So what areas of your home are right? What bits do you like? And maybe try and replicate that in other areas.
I think sometimes as well, it's almost about, you've probably made a few decorating mistakes to actually learn what your style is and what those things are that makes you happy. So I know that for myself, when I moved into my house, I loved Pinterest and other people's inspiring shots, and I'd look at schemes with wallpaper that I loved, and I think, oh, I love that, I'm going to use that in my house. And actually I put it up and I think just doesn't make me feel how I want to feel in my own home. I'd love it for a minute and then I was either bored with it, I'd grow out of it, or it just didn't make me feel completely relaxed. So I think that learning your own style is all part of the journey of your home, and sometimes that's about looking at a particular style that you like, and you can see a theme running in rooms that you require, and then take.
You're definitely like Cali vibes, kind of Nirvana. Like you love traveling, but it comes in a slightly different way. Where I'm probably a bit more boho, a bit more mixed match. Well, I think we both are. Look at our cushion. But we're very similar, but we take different takes on almost the same style, I think, and interpret our different ways. But I think that's because we spent many times like honing down what actually makes us happy.
Yeah.
So the next tip that we're going is about claiming your space.
Yes.
Like it's a huge, but I can talk about it a bit. So yeah.
So this one's all about decluttering. So making your space easy to work in, easy to use. It should have the function that you want it to. So for me, for example, my living room, I don't want it to be full of clutter. And so with that in mind, there were certain things that I did. We put a false wall in that houses a big TV and a fireplace. And that meant that all the wires are hidden behind it. So straight away, it's a much more neat and streamlined appearance to it. Then either side of that, I've got two units. I've got a big sideboard and also a shelving unit. I'm looking at it now, you can't see it.
I was just saying, can you turn the camera on? Let's have a look.
And what this has meant is, excuse the cat on the chair there. So as you can see, there's a big shelving unit there, and there's the TV.
Yeah.
And then over there, can you see the sideboard?
Yeah.
So what that meant, having those items of furniture, means that not only can I shut the doors on the things that aren't particularly attractive, that we all need, let's face it, day-to-day living items aren't always that attractive, remote controls and all the tech that you need. But then I've also got some display shelves as well, where I can put all the bits that I actually really like looking at. So this room, it doesn't feel completely bare. It's still got lots of things in it that are personal to me and make me happy, but they're displayed in an orderly fashion. So they're not just dotted all over the place. And that's meant that the space is free for me to use as I want. I quite often move my coffee table out of the way to do some yoga or something on my rug. It's very easy for me to move it out of the way. It takes 2 seconds. And also I've got the cupboards and the built-in storage that I can pop anything that I don't want out on show. What about you, Maxine?
So when sort of talking about claiming your space, it can sometimes feel like your home is completely overrun by things, and it can be quite hard to edit them down. I'm pretty ruthless. I tend to sort of tackle corners of my home all the time. So I'll do my cupboard with all my china, and I'll go through and I'm like, have I actually used this? I know it's really beautiful, but do I use it? Like I have a cake stand, and I'm not a baker, and I haven't used it, and I'm like, no, do you know what? That's going to go to my sister because she'll really love that. Or I'll give that to charity shop and they can make some money from it, and then I don't feel bad. And I'm particularly good with that with clothes. I often go through my wardrobe and have a thin out because I like to be able to see everything, because if I don't see everything, I won't use it, and then it just builds up and you end up buying more because you think, oh, I haven't got that sellotape I needed in my home office, and then you open a cupboard and you find 15 rolls of sellotape. So I think it's about tackling smaller areas and breaking it down. I've even got off a flight and had jet lag and just woken up in the middle of the night and tidied a cupboard. I was lying there and I was like, I can't sleep. So I tidied my under the stairs cupboard, which is mad. But that's just how I sort of switch off. So I do think like claiming your space and having a place, literally like old school place for everything, does make your home feel more ordered, more relaxed, so that when you want to light a candle, you can find the matches to light the candle, you can find the remotes, you can find those lovely glasses that you want to have a drink in, or you'll find china, whatever it is, it's easy to find and accessible.
Definitely.
Nothing more stressful.
But clutter definitely has a huge impact on your mental health. I mean, it's been recognised that it does. So anything that you can do, no matter how big or small your space, to declutter is going to make you feel calmer. It just will.
It's the easiest way to decorate. You don't even have to pick up a paintbrush. You can just like go through what you have, move things around, have an edit, have stuff that leave the house, have some stuff that you're going to give away. And even that will totally raise your spirits and feel like you're more in control of things, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, like if you've got a small space and you feel like no matter what you do, everything is on the floor, if you can't see a lot of the floor, it's going to make your space feel even smaller. So anything that you can do to raise items up, if that's the case, is a good thing. So any furniture that you can see through or see under, I've added legs onto my sideboard just because that used to be on the floor, and it's lifted it up and it's made it feel brand new, really. So think about things like, you know, a sofa. If you're getting a new sofa and you've got a small space, maybe get one on legs so that you can see underneath it. And same with furniture, or maybe use furniture that's got perspex or glass to it so you can see through it, so it kind of has that aesthetic where it's going to make your space seem larger than it is. Little trick.
Yeah, I mean, or even like putting wheels on. I'm always going on about putting wheels on stuff, but I've got a particular heavy cupboard, and if I put wheels on it, then I can move it out to clean behind, and it doesn't become that thing of like, oh, I've got to move it and I put off. So I think it's like your belongings shouldn't own your home. You should have control over your belongings, and you should be able to decide, you should be able to move them around. It shouldn't be that you need two workmen to move a cupboard out the way so you can hoover behind.
Exactly.
So the next one we've got is about discovering your colour.
Yes, so discovering your colour. Well, this is going to be different for everybody because everybody have colours that make them happy, but what colours you love don't necessarily mean that you can live with them. So for example, I absolutely love dark navy blue walls. Love it in other people's home, but for me, I can't live with them. I've tried it and it doesn't work for me. So I think it's about finding the colours that you enjoy living with and that, you know, call out to you and that you don't get bored with quickly. For me, I've gone in this room, I've gone for lamproom grey from Fearne, and it's kind of like a greeny grey. And what I love about it is that at different times of the day, it takes on a different tone. So it's much more green than it is grey quite often. And then at other times it takes on almost like a more sophisticated grey tone to it. And I've paired that with white, but then I've got lots of wood as well that kind of balances the difference between the two tones. So yeah, colours for me, I quite like neutral, muted ones, but I think that finding a colour that works for you is very important in the home.
You can be inspired by colour palettes can come from anywhere. It could be coming from like maybe you've spent a holiday in Cornwall with your family and you're thinking about the ocean and sand and the whites, or you've been away to somewhere hot like Mexico and you're inspired by the terracottas and the greens and the richness, it's kind of what those colours evoke for you, and like how they stir emotions within you. You don't have to paint everything white like I have, or grey like Laurie has. You can use colour quite playfully in your home, whether it's with accessories or with artwork or in any means like that. So one great way is to get some colour paint charts and perhaps like start to hone down which shades make you wear, perhaps go through your wardrobe, have a look at what clothes, your colours you're naturally drawn to wear more, but because if you wear it then you're more likely to be quite happy living with it. So there's sort of lots of little tips and tricks that you can use there to pick your colours and find out what they are.
And someone told me once that a really good way to look at what colours work well together is to take some inspiration from nature. So, for example, if you think about things like sunsets and the sea and different greens and yellows and the way that they work together, that's a really good way of knowing whether they're going to pair together quite well, is to look at things in nature and see what colours they are used naturally. And actually, I think that's quite a nice ethos, to get the blue of the sea against the, grainy sand colour. Or, for example, you could get the rich oranges and pinks from a sunset working together. So,
I know someone who decorated their whole home in the colours of a wood pigeon.
Wow.
Because if you look at a wood pigeon very closely, there are lots of different shades of like beige, and then they have bits of blue and bits of green in, and she literally went through and like finally picked all those colours and decorated a whole home in those colours. It looks amazing. It does work. So it can be something simple like that, anything like that, and you just hone down those choices. So once you've had your declutter, you've picked your colours, you've found out what makes you happy, the next thing you need to add is touchy-feely fabrics. So that's the next element you need to start working on. So lots of things sort of overlooked when we're trying to create calm spaces. We think about where we buy our furniture and what antique chair we want and what bed we want, and we paint the walls and we put things in, but we don't actually think about softening a room. And one great way to do that is with touchy-feely fabrics. So we're looking for like velvet accessories. I've got a cushion here that's made out of tapestry. It's adding those elements that when you walk in a room, your guests will just want to touch everything because it's so not ornate, but touchy-feely.
Definitely. It adds interest to your room, I think, as well, to have a variety of textures. Like, it's all very well having a velvet sofa, but actually you want a variation of textures from the cushions that are on that sofa. That's what provides the interest. So in my room especially, I've got wooden flooring, lots of hard surfaces in here. So I've got wooden flooring, I've got lots of smooth furniture, I've got obviously tech from the TV, artworks, all of those are quite hard finishes. So it's really important for me to have a more cozy feel with the touchy-feely fabrics that I bought in. So I've got a big rug on the floor, and I went for quite a high pile on it so that it's nice and fluffy and cozy. I've got lots of cushions, as you can see behind me, in different textures, and also lots of things like tassels and fringing on the cushions that I've got. And then throws as well. So I've got lots of cozy throws. I've got a knitted one here. I've got a big sheepskin chair, very fluffy, and lots of natural elements as well. So obviously you can see the wood in here, but I've also got lots of rattan and jute. So again, touchy-feely, but in a slightly different way.
And you can add those touchy-feely fabrics in layers. So, on your bed, think about having a couple of throws at the end, or on your sofa, have some throws that you can snuggle into. If you're out in the garden entertaining, have things like cushions that people can squish into, or blankets they can wrap around. So it's sort of thinking about your home as having quite a lot of depth and layers that come from all these touchy-feely fabrics. Okay, so I'm going on to our final. This one we both love doing. I've probably done this during lockdown. I've probably done this about every few days. It's called Shop Your Home. And we both have very different ways of tackling it. So I love the way Laurie does it with your cushions.
Yes, so quite often if I want to switch up in my house, I just want it to feel a little bit fresher. And I want to give it maybe the rooms a bit of an update just so that it's not boring to me. But I don't necessarily want to go out and spend a lot of money. So what I tend to do with the cushions is take all of my cushions out of every room, put them on the floor, and then take different ones to use in various rooms. So literally swapping them around. But what I find is if I take them all out of every room, I can look at that room with a more objective eye, because we're creatures of habit, and you can quite often only see that particular cushion that you've used on that sofa, like that's what goes there. If you take everything out and strip it back a bit, you're more likely to be able to use different cushions and different things in various ways. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does. I was thinking these cushions only live here. I have like a different way of doing it. So I tend to do it when I'm cleaning. I'll clean a whole room and I'll take everything off the surfaces, and then I'll switch everything around in one room. So I'll just do one. But so my things will pretty much live in one space, but I switch everything around each time and play around. And I'll have images that I've saved from Instagram and Pinterest on my phone. So if I'm like, I'm looking around, like if I want to change these shelves behind me with my art on, or my shelving over there, or this unit, then I'll like have a little look at my phone and think, oh, I saw that really cute idea. What did they do? And I know I can do that at home. If it's just a matter of like moving a plant, how trailing down in a different area, restarting my mantelpiece with different things. So it's about being really quite playful, and I'm like, oh, It makes me so happy when I do it. I don't know what it is. It just like catnip for stylists, isn't it?
I know.
Because I'm not a whole new room, and I haven't. I've literally not left the house, but I've had the best time ever.
I think it's good to be creative with your objects as well. And it might be that you've used something in a certain way for a long period of time, and you don't want to use it in that room anymore, but you could actually turn it into something else and use it in a different room. So, for example, I had some vintage jelly molds on a shelf, and I used them as they were part of a display. And I no longer wanted them on there, but what I did need was a plant pot, so I turned it into a plant pot. So it's just about using things in slightly different ways. You know, it might be that I don't want the particular books that I've got on my coffee table, but I want to add some height on a shelf somewhere for another object. Can use it as that, or I turn the covers around so that you can see the cover like you would a piece of art, and put it on a shelf. So just using things in different ways. It's the same objects that you've got in your home, but they feel like new when you use them.
Yeah, so like bedside tables can become coffee side tables. You know, a footstool in the coffee in your living room could go in the bedroom and become your bedroom alternative chair. Like, you know, things can move around. You can change around the layout just by moving things around. Even if you move it around and then put it back again and you're quite happy how you had it originally, I think sometimes it's like reaffirmation, like this does work. This is the best flow. This is the way it works.
Yeah. Move things around. Don't be scared. Be brave. Tweak things.
Yeah.
If you think about what you would do with your wardrobe, you don't just leave the same clothes in your wardrobe for years on end, do you? You update them maybe with a few new accessories and things. But what you also do is look at outfits and how you can change them. So it might be that you mix and match a skirt and a jumper, and look for different ways to use what you've already got. And the same should be done for our interiors as well. You don't always have to shop brand new. It's about filling it with things that you love and then just using them in different ways.
Yeah. And then if you feel like, actually, I do still need that thing, then you can justify buying it. But if you're just buying it because you're feeling bored with your space, I think it's a really good time to be creative with what you've got. I think it's helpful. So this one, the last tip we've got, I'm particularly guilty of breaking quite heavily, and that's called like taking your time over your decor. So I probably my first house that I had, I was very keen to rush and get it finished and done, and that was it. And that's basically the fun part, the best bit. And then I'd done it and I was like, oh, and it was too expensive to change. So with this house, I've definitely gone a lot slower and changed things over time. What about you, Laurie?
I think that's probably down to our jobs as well. I mean, myself and Maxine are constantly creating sets and doing shoots for magazines and newspapers and brands. So for us, decorating is quite often quite a speedy process. But when it comes to your own house, it's something that you really can spend that bit more time in and put a bit more thought into it. And I know that the things that I've rushed into and have done quite quickly are the things that I'm probably least happy with now. I think there's something to be said for that, to put in a bit of thought behind it. And also don't feel that, you've decorated your room, you suddenly have to fill it with a load of accessories. So you go to one shop and you buy them all from the same place, and, that's done within a few days. I mean, it's quite nice to be able to take your time and then let your room evolve as you're bringing things back from your travels, or as your taste change slightly. You can just tweak that same scheme and really make it feel personal and unique to you.
I learn really heavily with this house. So what I have on my phone is a list of all the measurements of different alcoves, because they're all quite small where I can fit things in. And then I just made sure that I had to take measure out with me. So if I was randomly around Brighton and I went to a junk shop, and which happened quite a few times, and I found something, I had the measurements, I could measure it, and I knew it was going to fit, and I just waited. Because apart from my spare room, I've had about 4 different wardrobes in there, and I still haven't quite got the wardrobe I need. But it's about getting something that perfectly fits in the space, it's going to work really hard, it's going to answer all those solutions, rather than spending money on something that maybe in like a few months or a year or so, it's just going to irritate you because it doesn't work hard enough for you.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I mean, I know that some of the decorating mistakes I've made, we moved into this house and straight away I thought, right, I want carpet upstairs, both bedrooms, carpeted them both without really thinking about what I was using them for. One of the rooms we turned into a dressing room, and it's where I do my makeup, and it just wasn't the most practical option, because you tend to get makeup occasionally on the floor. I've gone for a light grey carpet. It just wasn't the best option at all, and I wish I'd actually lived with it a bit longer and really thought about what I wanted down on the floor.
I agree with you. So like another good tip to do that if you're taking your time, as well as having the measurements in your phone, is to have lots of photos of your home. I have them in a special folder on my phone, so when I'm out and about, or if I'm looking online, I can refer back to those images of what I've got, so that I can just check that whatever I'm buying, if you go into like shops and you find this amazing vintage piece, you're like, it's one off and I love it, but actually when you look at the pictures of your home, you're like, actually it's not quite the right colours that I remember. It's just having that reference point. I think that's kind of key. Right, so that's all our tips for today in our little chat. So we're really hoping that you are ready to create your own Zen den at home. If you would like to follow us, we're both very active on Instagram. Our handle is @SecretStylingClub. And we have a website as well, and we offer remote interior design services, as well as advice and tips on there as well, and you can see where we've been. So we'd love you to come and give us a follow. Hopefully you've liked everything we've done. Have you got anything to add, Laurie?
Yeah, you can visit us at secretstylingclub.com is our website.
.com.
Like to come and visit.
Yeah, that's our website. But we're most active on Instagram, so we'd love you to follow us there. That'd be fantastic. And say hi to us if you do. And we've done another video. We've done one other video for this, a crafting video on making mindful bath salts, so make sure you check that as well. And we can't wait to see all your mindful homes on Instagram. Don't forget to tag us in them. That'd be fantastic.
Enjoy the rest of the festival. We hope you...
Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm going to go. Thank you so much. Bye.
If you like that video, there are loads more talks, classes and exclusive videos from the Happy Place Virtual Festival. So don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Do follow us on Instagram for constant updates, and enjoy.